Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's edition of the Atheist Experience. It's January 4th, 2009. Happy New Year.
I was watching, I think it was the Discovery Channel, and
why did you do that? We're not on the Discovery Channel.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. But there was a show about some people. Apparently they had died, and, you know, they had been resuscitated. And when they woke up, they claimed to have seen, you know, like heaven or tunnels with angels. And, you know, I don't necessarily believe these guys. You know, I'm agnostic, but I'm not really sure what to make of it. I was wondering if I could get your opinion on it.
I believe if you dig a little deeper for more information about this, what you'll find is that the afterlives that get reported by folk like that have one thing in common, and that is that they are all they all report the things they were raised to believe.
Or what their beliefs were at the time.
Right, or their beliefs at the time, right?
You don't have Hindus seeing Jesus.
That's right. No Hindu dies and comes back and says, oh, I'm a Christian now because after I died I saw Jesus. Not once, ever.
Ah.
And even if it did happen, I'd report that that's not evidence of the truth of it.
One needs to be careful, because if there's one example out there, of course the believers will jump all over it and say, because of Jeff Dee's argument, this proves that Christianity is true. But so there could be incredibly rare exceptions, but for the vast majority of cases, and of course, if there's only one true religion, which a lot of people believe, then all of these afterlives that got reported, except for one, have to be imaginary in the first place. So there's a lot of good reasons to take all of that with shake or salt.
And there are groups who have done studies on near-death experiences, and in addition to finding this that Jeff was talking about, there are a number of other things that are similar. And this, oddly enough, is something that can actually be tested. You would think that there would be no way to test this, but there are ways, because one of the most common things that's reported first, before we get to the religious imagery, or lack thereof, there are some people who don't see anything at all like that, is this, one of the most common is, I saw myself as I floated up from the bed, and I could see my body and my doctor and the people working, and I could, you know, hear them making comments about it, and there's no way I could have possibly known this because I was dead at the time. And as I floated up through the ceiling, blah, 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 then I went on and had my religious experience. Well, the thing is, death is not some finite moment in time. It's a really complicated condition, and the definition of when is death or what is death has changed. They can still hear things. They may be unconscious or under anesthesia or whatever else. What they do to test this is, for example, you set a cabinet next to the operating room, and you put a sign on top of that cabinet, and you let them know ahead of time that there's a sign up there. And if they would be so kind as, on their way up, and while they're floating up, if they can see the bald spot on their doctor's head that they supposedly hadn't noticed before, if they'd kindly look over to the cabinet and see what's on that sign that we left up there, and then when we bring you back, you can give us that information. And well, so far nobody's been able to tell anybody what's on that little sign they put on top of the file cabinet. And that demonstrates that there's most likely something else going on here. And by investigating it further, and yes, the brain is in some cases a huge mystery, but it's not a complete mystery. We know quite a bit about how the brain works, or not necessarily the specific details, but we know, for example, if you prod this area, something happens. If you prod this area, we know where memories are stored all over the place. We know which areas of the brain are responsible for different things. And by investigating near-death experiences, we find that the most reasonable conclusion is that these are experiences that occur in your brain as your brain is going through the process of dying and shutting down. There's no justification for thinking there's anything more to it, that you had any kind of soul or anything that left your body. It's just a weird experience. You know why? Because your brain is in an incredibly weird state that it's probably never been in through your entire life, and you have no way of processing it. And your brain, since it does the processing, is faulty at the moment. I don't know why it should surprise anybody that people have weird experiences when the brain starts dying.